They deserve.
Spurs win. Pop gets the record. This is Spurs React. I'm Chris Duel with Michael Bartlett. Great night for the Spurs. Great night for Pop. Going on the air here in a sec in the post-game show.
Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
This is what's happening. Our worst fears have now come true.
Tremendous Spurs victory tonight. They came from behind in the second, in the fourth quarter, and in the second half. Quite amazing. Jorge Chapa, Doris, welcome in. Christian, David.
Oh, highlight, sorry.
From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Final score, the San Antonio Spurs 104, the Utah Jazz 102. Coach Gregory Charles Popovich attains the record of most regular season wins in NBA history. Before we proceed, right now, let's pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves along the Spurs radio network.
News Radio
Jeff LaRue, son of Bernie LaRue. Good to see you.
Traffic and weather.
Once again, the final score, Spurs 104, Jazz 102. And, of course, the big story, and it is going viral now across social media, across America and around the world. Coach Greg Popovich moves ahead of his friend and mentor and his former boss, Don Nelson, with victory number 1,336 in the regular season. Coming up, Spurs React on 1200 WOAI and across 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages as well. You can join me and Michael Bartlett. Let's update scores from around the NBA. Late second quarter, Lakers trail the Wizards 51-50. Final scores from earlier: Magic over the Timberwolves 118-110. Hawks beat the Clippers 112-106. Celtics over the Pistons 114-103. Heat beat the Cavs 117-105. It was the Mavs over the Rockets 113-100. Grizzlies beat the Knicks 118-114. Hornets over the Pelicans 114-120. That is significant because the Spurs started the evening 2 games behind the Pelicans, who were in that number 10 slot for the play-in game. So the Spurs not only get a big win tonight, they pick up ground on the New Orleans Pelicans and on the Portland Trailblazers. And the Raptors beat the Suns 117-112. Once again on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI, and streaming live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. Our Spurs React is coming right up after a quick wrap-up from Bill Schoening at the AT&T Center, where Coach Greg Popovich made history tonight, as did this Spurs team, as they defeat the Utah Jazz 104-102. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savannah.
Welcome in, everybody. Brian Birdie, David Castanuela, Jorge Chapa. Jorge telling me Don Nelson just spoke on television. John Nieto. Welcome in, everybody. Great win. Axel J. Miller joins us from Denver tonight in the Mile High City. How cool is that? Yeah, it was not looking good for a while here in the second half, but the Spurs found a way to win this thing, which is just so cool. Frank Ramirez mentioning our good friend Taro Kotani. Hey, Miguel Castro in here. Miguel Castro, good to see you, sir. Sandra Perez, welcome in. Great to see the Spurs players swarming Pop on that court, celebrating. Pop trying to get out of that and get into the locker room as soon as he could. It was a tremendous scene. and I'm sure you will see replays of that. But it was a lot of fun to see via the TV coverage as Bill Schoening had the call here on radio. Bill's going to wrap things up here in a moment. John Hunsenerscher, welcome in. Great win for the Spurs against a very good team. Here comes Bill.
Broadcasting is Mike Chicarillo. Liz Canonis handles commercial traffic along with Leah Resendez. Our broadcast engineer, Sam Walters. Our statistician, Walter Stoops. Next game for the Spurs, the Indiana Pacers are in here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock tip. We'll be on the air at 6:30 with Spurs Radio Game Night. As always, for all things Spurs, follow us on Twitter, Spurs.com, or the Spurs app. And now for our studio producer, Mike Bartlett, and for Chris Duel, our studio host, we thank you for joining us this evening. Our final score, 104-102. The Spurs with the win over the Utah Jazz as Spurs head coach Greg Popovich wins regular season win number 1,336. And he surpasses Don Nelson as the all-time leader in regular season wins in NBA history. This has been a presentation of Spurs Sports and Entertainment and the National Basketball Association. All rights reserved. Good night, everybody. Spurs.
Bill Schoening with that wrap up. John Williams, welcome in. Noel Gomez. Andres Vicente Arispe, welcome in. Carlo Lopez. Chris Castor, Evan Parker. One more time.
What do you want to go to?
Something that defines who we are. We're also big
At the
fans of
moment,
family business.
let's think
Because
50.
in all of our years of banking, we found that when
Does
we
that work for
we
you?
business like family.
I mean, I'm good to go already. Because it's the weekend, so I don't have anything to
Right.
do.
So, all right, let's think 50. Does that make sense? What do you think?
That would be 16 minutes.
Science Bank Corporate.
Up to you.
Member FDIC.
You gonna go 45? Let's see what calls do.
I think 45 would
Okay.
be easier.
All right, 45.
Thank you.
45.
Those studio signs prompting you to share.
Ofalin from Singapore, welcome.
I'll give you Jakob to start.
Robert Rodriguez, I love your movies. You're a great director. Thanks for being here. David Saucedo with some beer emojis. Brian Zuniga. I hope Spurs fans, and I see a lot of you in here who are just appreciating the moment. Here we come. Coming on to react on the radio here.
React on the home of the Spurs, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.
Left corner, Johnson, 7-2. Johnson starts to drive baseline into the paint. The Turtle floater, good! Jakob Turtle, sail poop, fine drawing. Big basket for Turtle. He's got 15, and the Spurs lead 98-95. Timeout, Quinn Snyder.
Gregory Charles Popovich. I want those to be the first words I say on Spurs React tonight. His full name, Gregory Charles Popovich. That man now has the NBA record, not only for regular season wins, which he achieved tonight, but regular season plus postseason wins, which he already had with all those playoff victories for the San Antonio Spurs over the years. Celebrate this one, Spurs fans. Probably not a championship this year, although I don't rule it out if they could get to the 10 or the 9 or the 8 slot and then start winning. I'm a Spurs homer. It's Chris Duel along with Michael Bartlett. This is Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Without this man, and you can say this about a few other human beings like David Robinson and Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and Peter and Juliana Holt and others, there's like a handful. But certainly without Greg Popovich, Spurs don't go to the finals 6 times. Spurs don't win 5 NBA championships. Spurs may have gotten Tim Duncan, but maybe he goes to Orlando to Doc Rivers after his rookie contract. Greg Popovich has done so many things right over his career. And I truly believe, and I've talked to some major players who tell me the Spurs would not even be in San Antonio anymore if Greg Popovich didn't happen, if Tim Duncan didn't happen, if David Robinson didn't happen. So celebrate this, San Antonio. Celebrate this record and celebrate this man. Air Force Academy graduate, an officer and a gentleman, and I think the greatest coach of all time. Red Auerbach had the Celtics. He had the dynasty. There were like 8 teams in the league back in the 60s. Phil Jackson had Shaq and Kobe and a big market. He had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and a big market. Greg Popovich had a small market. And yes, he had David Robinson. And yes, Tim Duncan showed up. And a lot of things went right. But a lot of things went right because of who Greg Popovich was and who Greg Popovich is. And that's what we celebrate tonight as the Spurs beat the Utah Jazz 104-102. We'll talk to Michael Bartlett here in a moment. Phone number 210-737-1200. If you're outside San Antonio, the phone number, it's an 800 number, 800-383-WOAI. Lots of people joining us on Facebook Live. I see Ofa Lin from Singapore. I see Steve Duraco, who went to Spurs games with me, season 1 at the Hemisphere Arena. I see so many great Brian Birdie, who is a great modern-day Spurs fan, goes to all the games at home and goes to a lot of them on the road. Let's go to the phone lines and get a reaction here. Then we'll go to Michael Bartlett. Let's go to Jason. Jason, thank you for waiting. You're on Spurs React. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, Chris, thank you for taking my call, man.
Hey, man, how you feeling tonight?
Oh, I'm great. I mean, I'm in San Antonio. How else would you feel?
Good answer.
We have seen history. We will never see this again. I mean, the man has 1336 plus. We're not done yet. He's still going to keep going.
Yeah.
He's had 1,000 wins with the same team, and I don't know if y'all saw his press conference, but I mean, he gave a lot of gratitude to Nelly, the man he passed, the man who gave him a chance. I mean, can you imagine those two people on the same bench?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything about Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was handed those back. Pop built what we had, and you will never see that again. So I just want to tip my hat to you and your broadcast. You and Bartlett, y'all done well, and we've got this. We've had to see this come together. We'll never see this again. So San Antonio, have a great night. You'll never see this again. So tune out.
Jason, great phone call, the gist of what Jason just said, San Antonio and Spurs fans, because we got Ofa Lin from Singapore, so there are Spurs fans around the globe. Taro Kotani, the greatest international Spurs fan, in the AT&T Center tonight to witness this, which was his dream. He flies out tomorrow morning at 7. He didn't want this to happen tomorrow night against the Indiana Pacers because he'd have been on his way to Tokyo tomorrow. So yes, this is history. Yes, this is a remarkable man, Greg Popovich. And yes, this is a remarkable franchise, the San Antonio Spurs. And yes, this is a remarkable city, San Antonio, Texas. And yes, this is an amazing global fan base of the San Antonio Spurs. Let me hand this over to a man who has been making the broadcast go for years and years and years. Not only is he a professional, he is a die-hard Spurs fan. This dude loves the Spurs as much as anybody I know. Michael Bartlett, on a historic night, lay it on us. Give us your thoughts.
Let's be honest, Chris. In that third quarter, you and I pulled back the curtain. We're sitting here 6 minutes into that third quarter, and Utah had scored 2 points, and we had scored 4 or 6 points. And we were still losing. So we'll be honest, Spurs fans. We did not think that it was going to turn out the way that it did. A 40 bomb in the fourth quarter, and I was hearing towards the end of the game some MVP chants. And granted, yes, DeJounte Murray is not going to win MVP, but he is our MVP for the San Antonio Spurs. DeJounte, just what else can you say? Did not have a great night shooting, but when it came to the fourth quarter, DeJounte balled. DeJounte went off. I think he had 13 in the fourth quarter, and clutch free throws. You know, the free throws tonight, you get to the line 43 times, you make 30. So, yes, you missed 13 free throw attempts, but to get to the line 43 times, it just showed the determination and the, just when the three ball was not there tonight, hey, go to the paint. If you don't get a bucket, get a foul, get them in foul trouble, and go to the line, which they did tonight. And again, for the most part, I will say 30 out of 43. Hey, it's 30 points. It's 30 points. But just like Jason said, the number's still going to keep going up. Regardless, it's still going to keep going up. It's not going to be 13-36 and then that's it. It's going to keep going up. We'll see how many more they can get before the end of the season if they're able to get into that playoff tournament, and I'm sure we'll see what happens with next year. But it was a very nice moment to see at the end of the game. All of the players just bombard Pop, and we talk about it. Pop's it's just a number to him. He doesn't care, but you could see that Pop was at least embracing it and enjoying it, because the players have been trying to do this for Pop for the past 5 games now. So it was nice to see Pop kind of get a little, I would say maybe sentimental. Just to kind of, hey, recognize this is what happened. So congrats, Pop. Hopefully, we can keep this going and try to get into that playoff tournament and the play-in game and see what happens, because playoffs are a completely different story. Unfortunately, as Spurs fans, and I hate to bring up a sore point, we've seen what happens. All it takes is one play and a series can turn. And unfortunately for us, that one play, it wasn't just a series, it was the franchise as well. But things can happen. So great, they fought hard. I believe this is the first win that they've gotten since with trailing into the fourth quarter. And again, a double-digit deficit. They didn't quit. They kept fighting and played darn good defense tonight. Darn good defense. Got to work on threes, but when you have defense the way that they played tonight, shots will fall eventually. So again, congrats to Pop. I tip my cap to you, and let's keep it going tomorrow night against the Indiana Pacers. It's a quote unquote inferior team. This team has at times played down to opponents. Let's hope they can keep this mojo, this energy high, and tomorrow, run the Pacers out of the building and keep it going.
That's Michael Bartlett. My goodness gracious, Spurs fans, what a night, what an accomplishment. Manu Ginobili tweeting, congrats to the one and only, with a GOAT emoji. We're looking at that right now. Go look at social media, man. NBA greats and people who know what they're talking about, like Manu Ginobili, are praising Gregory Popovich as they should. So Spurs fans, you've won championships. You've won 5 of them. You've had river parades. You've gone to the final 6 times. This is big too. This is pretty darn big. Enjoy this night and reflect upon what Coach Greg Popovich has done and what this Spurs team has done. Absolutely amazing. And in a small market, this ain't Chicago, this ain't LA, this ain't New York, this is San Antonio. And we love it and we're proud to be here. But for Greg Popovich to have done this in what was previously an ABA town, my goodness. Congratulations, Pop. 1336. For the great Bill Schoening, who someday there should be a Bill Schoening banner someday up there in the rafters with a microphone on it. I foresee that, to be honest. And there'll be a Pop banner up there before the Bill Schoening banner, but there will be a Bill Schoening banner up there someday for the great Bill Schoening, for his veteran statistician, Walter Stoops, for Sam Walters, the on-site engineer, for the man you just heard from, Mr. Michael Bartlett, for everybody who makes these broadcasts go. We thank you. I'm Chris Duel. As Michael mentioned, we'll do it again tomorrow night. Back-to-back Indiana Pacers, another ABA team coming into town tomorrow night. Pre-game 7 o'clock right here on 1200 WOAI and across the Spurs radio network. Congratulations and thank you, Coach Greg Popovich, for all you've done for this franchise, for all you've done for this city, for all you've done for this fan base, for all you've done for the NBA and all of sports. Congratulations. Final score tonight from the AT&T Center, the San Antonio Spurs 104, the Utah Jazz 102. Pop is the king of the mountain. You've been listening to Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. In Pop, we trust.